Unit 14. Listening Part 4. Exercise 3.
Today, South Live visits the Winchester Hat Fair, an extravaganza of processions, fireworks and street theatre with performers from as far away as Australia and Brazil. And we're talking to a veteran performer at the Hat Fair, Mighty Max, who's come all the way from Canada once again. Max, why's the festival called the Hat Fair?
Well, I've been told the fair was only started in 1974 as a way of encouraging street performers like myself. It's not like there was one of those great old English traditions like hat making here in the 18th century or anything. Lots of people come to the fair wearing funny hats because of the name, but that wasn't its origins. It was always supposed to be about street theater, and during the act, a hat's passed around so that the performers can earn a living. And that, in fact, is where the name comes from.
Now, you've been coming here for a number of years. Why do you keep coming back?
Oh, I just love performing here. There are artists like myself from all over the world who come here year after year, and we get to know each other and stuff. But what makes the fair unique is the people who come to watch. You know, you jump around and do your act, and they really let their hair down and love it when they're being made a fool of by other people in the crowd. And that's really what makes it such fun.
So, how did you get involved in street theatre in the first place?
Well, you know, my big ambition was to be a circus performer. I actually went to quite a famous circus school in Canada as a teenager where I was taught juggling and acrobatics. My dad was dead against it, but he paid for the classes on the condition that I went to university and got myself what he called a proper education as well. It was ironic, really, because if I hadn't gone to university, I might never have got into street theater. You see, every vacation I had time to travel, and I found I could pay for my trips by performing in the street and making a collection.
Fantastic! Your act's been attracting tremendous crowds here in Winchester. How do you explain your popularity?
Well, it's a combination of high-class acrobatics, which are performed without any safety equipment at all, and some quite risky stunts. So it gives the audience a thrill. You know, there are plenty of oohs and ahs. But what I think really gets them into it is that I make them laugh. There's a lot of clowning in my act, which builds a sort of two-way communication with the audience, and they love it.
The acts I've seen around town today have been pretty high quality. Why do you think that is?
Well, there's plenty of money around this town, which certainly attracts the best people from around the world. But, you know, none of that money's going to go in the hat unless your act's a good one. And so you've got to make sure people have a really great time watching you work.
And what difficulties do street performers come up against?
Good question. In a place like Winchester, not many. We're each given a place and a time to perform. As you've seen, I attract pretty large crowds, and I need plenty of space, so narrow streets are no good. Here, we're given the main shopping street, which is fine. In other places, if you haven't got permission, you'll get moved on by the police. So I always make sure that I've got the right permits. Actually, what's most likely to stop things happening the way you'd like is usually the rain, or even just a bit of drizzle. I mean, where's the fun in standing around getting cold and wet?
None at all. But what about Winchester? Has the Hat Fair put the town on the map? I mean, does it attract a lot of visitors from outside?
I'm not the best person to answer that question. I get the impression that the people who come here tend to be from the surrounding area rather than tourists. What Winchester gets is an amusing party, something they can do which is just plain fun. They gather in the streets and parks and unwind and forget about the other stuff in their lives.
Mighty Max, thank you. And I hope the rest of the fair goes well for you.
Thank you.
Unit 14. Speaking Parts 3 and 4. Exercise 2.
I'd like you to imagine that you are having a class discussion on the role festivals play in modern life. Here are some aspects of festivals that you could discuss. Talk together about whether festivals are important in the modern world. You now have some time to look at the task. All right? Could you start now, please?
Unit 14. Speaking parts 3 and 4. Exercise 3.
Now you and your partner have a minute to decide which two aspects are most relevant to consider in the discussion.
Unit 14. Speaking parts 3 and 4. Exercises 4 and 5.
Okay, let's see. Do you think you can learn about history by going to festivals?
Well, I think some of them are based on significant historical events, like winning things.
You mean remembering victories in battles?
Yes, thank you. Victories. And also, probably more often, important days in the religious calendar. The way people celebrated these can show us how people lived in the past.
That's a very good point. I think we can learn how they enjoyed themselves in the past.
Good. Let's move on to that. Having fun. Do you think that's a reason for having festivals these days?
Well,
I mean, do you think festivals are important because they are an opportunity for people to enjoy themselves, not just with their families at home, but with other people in the area where they live?
Yes, it probably is a reason why they're important. Nowadays, people can find plenty to entertain themselves at home, so it's easy to forget about all the other people who live around us. Festivals bring people together who might otherwise rarely meet. I mean, kids go to school together locally, but my parents spend all day at work, quite far from home.
Yes, that's true, because, of course, all sorts of people go to festivals and walk around together.
You mean you can mix with different kinds of people?
Exactly. Mix and exchange ideas. And of course that also means people of different ages.
An interesting point. There's a festival in the summer here every year, and my whole family always go together.
Oh, great.
And my grandmother really looks forward to it, and so do my little brothers and sisters. I think it's great fun too.
I think that's an important point, that the festivals really, appeal to all age groups.
Well, that means they play a role in individual people's lives as well as that of a community at any given time.
Unit 14. Speaking parts 3 and 4. Exercise 6. I'd like you to imagine that you are doing a class project on celebrations. Here are some things people often celebrate and a question for you to discuss. First, you have some time to look at the task. Now talk to each other about how you think we should celebrate each of these occasions. Unit 14. Speaking parts 3 and 4. Exercise 7. Now you have about a minute to decide which two occasions it would be most enjoyable to celebrate. Unit 14. Speaking parts 3 and 4. Exercise 8. Antonia, how do towns and cities benefit from having festivals and other celebrations?
That's a good question. Some people say it's good for what is called community spirit. But I think the main benefit is for local businesses because tourists and visitors are attracted to the town to spend their money in shops and restaurants.
Nikolai, do you agree with Antonia?
Yes, I partly agree with her. I think in many places people spend a lot of time during the year preparing for their festival, and I think it really encourages a feeling of cooperation and a community feeling.
And, Nikolai, do you think festivals should be organised more for tourists or more for local people? Unit 14. Pronunciation. Exercise 1. That's a good question. Some people say that it's good for, community spirit. But I think the main benefit is for local businesses, because tourists and visitors are attracted to the town to spend their money in shops and restaurants. Unit 14. Pronunciation. Exercise 4.
Yes, I partly agree with her. I think in many places people spend a lot of time during the year preparing for their festival, and I think it really encourages a feeling of cooperation and a community feeling.